So, welcome to the 5th training session on the BICOMmultisoft Pilot. In this demonstration we'll be showing you how to test specific programs. So in the previous video we looked at how to select programs and how to create a therapy list and how to assign the second channel substances. In this one we'll show you how you can test specific programs, individualize those programs, and also to ensure you're doing the very best therapies for your patient. So the Pilot has some built-in features to make sure that the therapy is being delivered in the first place, such as the mat test. And to make sure the mat test is on, please go to Extras, Pilot Options, and ensure that Use the Mat Test is connected, is ticked there. So we're going to go OK, and I'll show you how that works. What I will do now is I'll disconnect the mat, just move one program across and start it, and it's now checking the mat and it says mat not found, please connect. So I've plugged the mat in and the error message disappeared, and then it's also asking me to check the applicators and various other things before we run that program. So always have the mat test connect button ticked, and that way you'll make sure that the patient's always getting the therapy. There is another feature to prevent you from running too many programs and making the patient feel a little unwell. And it doesn't matter how long each one of these programs are, so you may want to disable it. So let's say we're just going to run, I'll just move across programs a number of times, same one or different one. So I'm happily putting a load of programs in, and then when I get to 6 it says do not use too many programs at once in one session. Depending on the patient's responsiveness and resilience, perform 3 up to a maximum of 6 therapies. Now I don't want this to be seen again because we know what we're testing as we go. So I don't want this to come up because we're testing as we go. So I'm going to click do not show this message again and go close. These settings can be changed by going to Extras and then Warnings. And here you can tick this, add more than 6 therapy programs. So you can put that back if you like. So I'm going to delete all those. So before you run a program, and before it will prompt you, as we've seen, have you got the applicators in place, which it would be it could be any of the applicators. Is the black input cup correctly filled? Are the output cups, in other words the red cup, or is correctly filled? Have you inserted a chip into the chip charger? Have you assigned a channel 2? Have you put any substances in channel 2, or are you going to use the built-in substance complexes? And are you running the DMI? So once it's asking you to check all those things, and when it's fine we can start the program, and the program is running. And if you notice, it already checked that the mat was connected. So as always, you must test the energetic state of a patient using the EAP pen. If somebody is in an exhausted state, you would not run, say, 60 minutes of programs that are all inversion. You would do more harmonizing or inverting disharmonious, but only if you're doing harmonizing as well. You might decide that if the patient's quite physically exhausted, or they've travelled a long way and got a long journey back that you might not want to run a full 60 minutes. But we can test each program by doing the tensor test. One question that we get asked a lot of is how do we know what programs to run? So this is how you can test which programs to run. So I'm going to go to a category here. I'm going to go to diseases of the skin, and here we have a list of programs that I would like to test. So I'd like using the program sequences, so it covers a number of things. And if I click dry skin and press the information, it says to put both feet on the multi-layered foot applicators, along with saliva, a bit of stool and a bit of urine in the input cup. So I'm going to do that now, as it suggests. I'm going to move the program across. I'm going to start it. I'm going to continue, and then the program is now running. So I will do a tensor test between the mat and the patient, or a vertical plate and the patient. If the tensor goes side to side, then we know that this program is needed. But I might want to have a number of programs in there to test quickly. So to do that, you can select, say, a number of programs, move them across here, and press start, continue, and I'm tensor testing, but at the moment it's showing there's no resonance. The tensor's going up and down. So I'm going to press the down key on the keyboard to the next one. Check the tensor. There's resonance there. So I could stop this program, delete the others and run it, or I could just keep running this program now, but I would like to test the others. So I move down to the next one, there's no resonance. Move to the next one, no resonance. Move to the next one and there's resonance. Next one, no resonance. Next one, no resonance. Next one, and there's no resonance. So I found that these three had no resonance, so we'll put those back. This one had no resonance, and this one had no resonance. Now, because these are different programs, I'm going to put a pause in by clicking the pause, going to the next program, clicking pause again, and here I've got a fully tested 3 programs that I'd like to run on the patient. Now this is about 45 minutes roughly. So with the basic therapy that we've conducted before, I know that I'm at my limit of the number of programs. It's quite useful here that it shows you 45 minutes. So I said 45, but actually it tells you exactly how long these programs will run for. But that doesn't mean to say you have to run them for the full 13 minutes, 15 minutes and 21 minutes, because if you regularly tensor test when you're running the programs, it may be that some of those programs stop resonating after just a few minutes, so you can stop them and move on to something that is resonating. So if you've tested this one, for instance, let's say this is running, so the increased powers of resistance program is running, but after 5 minutes we find that it's no longer resonating. So all you need to do is to click on next program here, and it will take you to the next program, and if there's an electrode change, an applicator change, it will tell you. So we're going to change those applicators, and then we'll click next, and we're running the next program. And again, we can do exactly the same, that if that no longer resonates after 10 minutes or so on, we can just move to the next program and change the electrodes. And again, if this program no longer resonates after a few minutes, we can move to the next one by clicking next program and change the applicators if needed. We can also use this function of next program when we're testing too. So I'm going to delete all these programs, and I'll show you how this can be done. So I'm just going to select some of the potentizing programs, and I'm going to start. BICOM is now running, and rather than pressing the down key on the keyboard, I'm just going to select next program. And if the cursor is over the next program, you can use the enter key on your keyboard to move down. But it's much easier to use the keyboard and hold the tensor in your other hand than possibly trying to click on the mouse or the keyboard, but it's up to you. But there's a few methods to be able to move the program up and down for quicker testing. If you ever need to pause a program, you pause it and then continue. We'll continue the program exactly where you left off. Stopping the program, we'll stop it, and then when you restart, it will start it back from the beginning again. So if you need to briefly pause for something, or the client needs to visit the bathroom, the best thing to do is use the pause button. There is another way to test these by not using the next program or the up or down key, and that's using the foot pedal. Now we will have to make some changes here just to make sure it's set correctly for us. So if you click on foot switch, you can have it so you have to double click. So 2 clicks is an apply, and a double click is apply, and a single click is does not apply. So if you want to not have to do it too quickly, set it to about there, and then OK. And then if we unpause that, program's now running, and if we click once, does not apply, moves to the next one. If we double click, it applies it and leaves it green, which is really useful. I'll click once if it doesn't apply, and then I'll click twice again for applying. What doesn't apply, doesn't apply, doesn't apply, doesn't apply. So that's a really useful feature to be able to highlight the programs that are required. To delete the programs that are not needed, you can do a bulk delete by left clicking with your mouse to highlight one of them, move down to the last program in the list and click the shift key or the up arrow along with the left key, and you'll see that it highlights all of them then, and then you can just delete these. or if it's one in the middle like this one, you can double click it and it puts it back. And again, here we've got a clear space to remove those. So here we have 2 tested programs that we know the patient needed. We've removed the ones that weren't needed, and we've now got a clean therapy list to work with. As discussed in a previous video, the section down here represents what was put into the input cup. So you can type in here saliva or blood, for instance, and it will store the results against the patient record. You can also put in here what you put in the output cup, for instance minerals. So there you'll have a complete record of exactly what was put in the red cup, the black cup, what was running channel 2. This will show here from the substance complexes. If you've selected the external, then you could write your own substance that you put in, and this would show in here. And if you're running any CTT or anything from the Multisoft test program, this would show in here as well. So, and then again, if they're in here, they will show in the patient section. So if we went to patient, it would show the history. So that might be useful for some of you. To be able to clear all this and to clear what's in these substances, simply click delete all. For substances that you've put in manually, they will just physically need deleting, like so, and there we have a clean start again. As we discussed in the previous video, lots of the channel 1 and channel 2 program sequences can be stored as a therapy list, and to do that you just go up to your therapy list, select one that you've prepared earlier, and here you have again your basic programs along with the substance complexes run. And if we did that one, we may just want to make a note that we've put saliva in that program, and then we can start the program. And you can see here that channel 2 is showing up, and then we might want to put that we've put minerals. You probably notice that I can do that while the program's running. And these manually entered results stay even when you move down the list. So on this one now, you may want to mention that you've put blood in there too, and everything can continue the same. And as the program moves through each step, and of course in the final candida one, we want to make sure that we had candida in the input. And then we can see when we go back to the patient tab, we have documented exactly what program was run. So the last program run appears at the top of this list, and it confirms that we had candida in the input cup and minerals in the output cup, mineral water. It tells us how long it ran for, and then it confirms that in the input cup we had saliva and blood, and so on. And it's important that if you're going to keep documentation of what therapies you ran, that you know exactly what was running in the second channel, what you were using in the input and output cup. So again, I'm sure you'll all find that very useful. We have covered the second channel substances in the previous video. Here you can see them all that have been added. There are quite a number of substance complexes have been added via channel 2, but you may want to be quite specific in the actual amplification of a substance complex and only use a few rather than a lot that are listed here. So let's look at how you would do that. So we're going to delete all these so that we can start afresh, and then I'm going to go up to the extras tab and I'm going to go to pilot options, and I'm going to untick the channel 2 extended sequence assignments, and I'm going to go OK. So this is using channel 2 in a more simpler method. So let's say we pick a basic therapy, so I'm going to search for basic, and we're going to do the standard normal range, so I'm going to move that across, and whilst I'm running the basic therapy I want to just run one substance complex. I may have some other substances, other fortifying substances such as homeopathic remedies or gemstones that I've put physically into the yellow rimmed cup, but I would like to test a specific substance complex. So I'm going to go to this one here, and let's say we'll pick adrenal weakness, and I'm going to start the test to see if this is needed. So I click start test, and it's now testing on the BICOM adrenal weakness, and I'm going to go apply and assign. So it's now here you can see in channel 2 it's just added adrenal weakness, but I would like to see what amplification is needed. So I'm going to click the A test here to test this adrenal weakness, and you can control the speed that the test goes through. You'll see what happens if I click start. You'll see that it's quite slowly going up. So we started at 8, 9, 11, 10, 12 amplification now, and it's working its way up, and all the time I'm doing a tensor test. It's the only way to do it really. If you're doing EAP you'd make the point quite sore, continually testing this point. You could do it with kinesiology, but again you would make the arm a little weak. So this is what we're doing. You can see if I change it, so if I'll just stop it now, if I move this down to 10 and press start, you'll see that's actually moving quite a bit quicker. Then when you press stop and close, if you remember that it says 28, close, it actually keeps the amplification at 28, and it's got adrenal weakness there. If we remember to put saliva, because it's a basic therapy, and we're using oil, mineral oil, and we press start, we're now running adrenal weakness whilst we're running a basic, but it's at 28 amplification, something that was specifically tested, and this will continue to run for the full length of the basic therapy, which is 20 minutes. So with this way you can be a lot more specific with your channel 2. You've tested which one they need, and you've tested the amplification, and the only way that that can be done is using this method, the simplified method. It's worth noting that currently you can use the duration and amplification when you're using an external substance in the yellow rimmed cup, but when you go to substance complex and assign from there, you can only change the duration and not test the amplification, whereas you can use in an external substance. You can individualize your own program. So if we move a program across and we click it to select it and then click individualize, there are different options here where you can test what the patient needs. So we can, in this particular one, it's H plus DI, so we can choose either low deep range or not. We can do the frequency test, we can do the amplification test on the H and the DI, test those individually, and then when we've done those things we can actually store it as our own therapy program. So just for the sake of this demonstration, I'll just test the frequency, start, and then press stop, and that's changed that to 10 Hertz. I'll test the amplification for H. Stop that and close, and then we'll test this one. And then we've got resonance on those, so I'll store it as an own therapy program. And you can create a description as well, and then press OK. And that's the way you can create your own programs. It's so much easier than the older methods, which was just going through a number of screens. And on a complex program like H plus DI, it's quite easy to be able to access all the information. You can edit your own programs. You can also bring programs in from your BICOM device if you'd already created your own programs on there. And to do that, we go to Therapy Program, and then here it says Edit Therapy Programs. So we can go to Edit Therapy Programs, and it will give a list of programs that you're able to change on there, which ones can be edited. So a list is shown here with all the individualized programs and program sequences. So because we've created these ourselves, we can change them. You can't change any of the core programs other than individualizing an existing one and saving it at a separate number. So the one that we've so if we look at this one here, we can change things, we can delete them, and it actually tells you which BICOM you use. So this was a B32 that we had B25s, so it stored them from different devices, and then the prevent is the one that I've just done now, so program 1000. So we can change it, we can add it to a category, and so on. So I'll delete that because I just created the test one, won't need it again. If we delete it from here, it will also delete it from the BICOM. That's why it asked me if I definitely wanted to delete it. And of course, if you'd already got the program that you've deleted in a therapy list for a particular patient, that program won't be there. So if it was in the therapy list, it would just skip it. A really useful feature is to be able to create your own program sequences in your own categories and then send them to your BICOM device. So the way to do this is you would go to Categories, Specialist Fields, and then create a category here. And you can call it your client, or it could be something that you've learned on a course, or it could be anything that you want. In this case, I've created one called Mr. Jones's Heart because this is a patient that I'm going to go out and see, and I've tested his blood, and I've put in, and I've know the programs that I want to use. So I've created a category called Mr. Jones's heart. So I'll close that. So these are the programs that I'd like to use in the sequence. So if I go to here, I can go save as a sequence. I can go to category and I can select Mr. Jones's heart. I'm going to go for program 40,000 because that's available there, and I'm just going to put heart, and then I'll go OK. And then if I go back to if I research, I've got my program there, look, heart. So I'll just delete all and I'll show you. If I select that, it puts them all here. Now let's try and send it to the device. So as long as your device is connected, these will highlight. If they don't, if your device is not connected, it will just be grayed out. So I'm going to go to send to the device. So it's asking me transfer all user-defined programs from the database to the device. Existing identical programs will be overwritten. So if I'd created a program 40,000 on the BICOM itself, it will be overwritten by this one. Now because this is a BICOM prevent and I've got the prevention module, I don't wish to overwrite anything, so I'm going to go cancel, but that's how it works. And if I also had programs I created on the BICOM and wanted it bringing over to the pilot, I simply click this button, load from the device, and then those are safely backed up, and I could then send it to other devices. So it's very useful to be able to move your programs backwards and forwards, but you do need to check the program numbers because they can be overwritten. So that concludes the training for this session.